Get started in 30 seconds here. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was actually just talking for the last 25 minutes to myself and didn't realize I didn't hit record. You know, what can you say? It happens. But I'll be ready to rock and roll again. I got my practice run through out of the way, so this will be even better for everybody on now. I was like, why is nobody commenting? And then, you know, you just realize you're talking to the wall or my iPad. So we had a good talk. So I'm going to be talking about sleep, stress, ADHD, and then we'll see how things are rolling at that point and go over questions. We'll try to hopefully keep it in the category of sleep and stress and ADHD if I don't cover it thoroughly. Otherwise, you know, we can open it up for fair game too, for anything else. Again, sorry that I'm late to the party here. I was talking to the wall for the last little while. I didn't realize I didn't hit record on the right one, so, you know, it happens. Okay, sleep. So sleep is a huge subject that even as I became a doctor, I didn't really realize the clinical significance that it had for, I mean, basically every single one of my patients and just human beings in general, especially Americans. You know, sleep is one of those things that is really sort of pounded into us that, like, if you sleep, you're lazy, or especially like in my world as a business owner, like an entrepreneur, like the saying is like, you can sleep when you're dead. Like, you know, when you sleep, others are working, and you know, that's all good and all, but the thing is, if you don't sleep, they've actually found that you do die early. So that's kind of dumb thinking. So current research shows that 65% of Americans are going to be sleep deprived. So we're talking about 2 out of 3 people that are walking around, 2 out of 3 people that are watching this and listening are going to be technically have sleep deprivation. One study found that having less than 8 hours of sleep, it affected your immune system so much that you were actually 300% more likely to get sick. So I think it's always funny when people come in to the office and, you know, they're like, oh, my coworker was sick, and so they breathed on me and I got sick too. And it's like, well, how's your sleep been? Well, not good. And I'm like, yeah, so your immune system has been tanked. Or people always get sick around the holidays. Well, what do? You don't sleep as much, or your quality of sleep is different because you're in a different bed or a different environment. So if you notice that flu season, the sick season, tends to occur around times when you're probably not sleeping as well. I know for me personally, the only time I get sick is if I go 3 or 4 nights in a row without enough sleep. Okay, and it does happen. I'm not perfect. We're all human beings, but that is when I know that I get sick. So keeping your sleep really, I think the magic number minimum for people is going to be 7.5 to 8 hours. Some people it's 9 hours. Anything more than that is not good, actually, and anything less than that is also not good too. So one study that was done found that long-term sleep restrictions, so less than 6.5 hours of sleep per night, for just a couple weeks, they found that your glucose tolerance actually dropped by 40%. What that means is that your body's ability to handle sugar and handle glucose diminished, which is what happens to people that are diabetic. So literally a couple weeks of not sleeping well, your body behaves like a diabetic, which means you can't handle the sugar, which means the sugar is going to get stored as fat. It's going to get stored and converted into cholesterol and triglycerides and cause other issues inside of your body. Another study was done that found that going just a few nights without sleep, like less than normal sleep, your leptin sensitivity actually diminished by up to 40% as well. And your ghrelin levels, which is your hunger hormone, actually increased by almost that much too. So ghrelin is the, if you ever have that grumble in your stomach, that is the hormone, that's ghrelin, that's telling you, hey, feed me. And so if you think about if that ghrelin level is going to be higher than normal, it means that your body is going to be craving to eat food. Okay, so more than it needs. And typically ghrelin is going to point you in the direction of the quick, easy fixes, which is going to be carbs. So meaning they found it also increases your carbohydrate and sugar cravings. Another thing, so not sleeping, poor metabolism, don't burn fat very well, and eat more. It's really as simple and as damaging as that. Another study was done where they found that if you stay awake for up to 17 hours in a row, so if you think about if you wake up at 5 a.m. and that would be till 10 p.m. at night, they found that long of going without sleeping, your body actually behaved and functioned as poorly as someone that had a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. So 0.07 is, legally drunk, like drunk driving, like, DUI or whatever. So you literally are operating like a drunk, okay, or near drunk anyways, if you're operating low on sleep. And they actually found in that same study that in some cases their ability, like their response time, their reactions actually was 50% slower than people that were drunk. And then of course, the longer you went without sleep, the more they actually was performed way worse than people that were actually legally drunk. So the other thing about lowering your sleep is that your stress hormones are going to go up. So remember, when you sleep, you heal. When you sleep, you regenerate. When you sleep, you recover. And sleep, you repair. So if you're not sleeping well enough, then your body's stress response is going to continue to go up and up and up and up and up. And so now we're looking at cortisol imbalance, which is going to lead to, extra fat deposit, specifically in the midsection. And it also, again, another stress hormone is going to be insulin. So it's going to increase. The more insulin you're producing, the more your pancreas begins to wear out. Your A1C starts going up. Your blood sugar starts going up. You start becoming pre-diabetic or maybe metabolic resistant, and eventually even diabetic, just from lack of sleep. Lastly, a couple of major studies that I've seen related to sleep is that when we're looking at men, and it's women too, but it really affects men, is that testosterone is going to naturally decline a little bit as men age, especially when you hit like the ages of 40 and 50. It's going to start going down about 1% per year. But if you go 1 week as a male with sleep restriction, your testosterone is going to tank another 10 to 15%. So it literally ages your hormones about 10 to 15 years just from 1 week of lack of sleep. And they didn't even look at like long term, but we can only guess that going a month or a year of having less sleep than you're supposed to, that testosterone would continue to tank and decline. So another one, so again, that we're talking about less lean muscle, poor metabolism, weight gain in the chest and midsection, and then it's bad for women too if there's too much not enough testosterone as well, because then you're going to have a higher estrogen amount, which is estrogen dominance, which again leads to a whole host of other problems. Another thing with lack of sleep is that of course your melatonin is going to drop in your body, and as your melatonin goes down, your estrogen goes up, again leading to an estrogen dominant situation, which is not good for males or females. So again, sleep is not just being tired or not being rested, but it literally destroys your metabolism, your hormones, your adrenal glands, and just ultimately your life and your health. So we're going to talk about now how to get to sleep better. So again, target number of hours of sleep is going to be minimum 7.5 to 8.5 hours. And it's not just the quantity of sleep, but it's also quality of sleep along with that too. So some ways to get the highest quality of sleep are going to be to make sure that you have the right environment. So best temperature for sleep is going to be between 67 and 70 degrees. Even colder than that is better, but 67 to 70 is a reasonable temperature. Now, a lot of people will kind of scoff at that and say, well, that's easy for you to say in your energy bill and whatever. And it's like, I don't know, for me, spending an extra $40 a month so my hormones can be balanced and I can sleep better and be rested and rejuvenated and live longer, it sounds like a pretty darn good investment to me, for not that much more, like maybe an extra $1 a day to run the AC at night. If you're really, really stringent, then turn your fan on or put a fan on your face, whatever the case may be. Sleep naked, which is actually a cool study that came out about sleeping naked. That is actually good for you, but I'll leave that aside for now. So cool temperature in your room. Another thing is going to be light, so pitch black, okay? If you live in a neighborhood where there's lots of street lights coming in and your blinds are not appropriately blocking those out, you need to get blackout shutters, okay? We got some at Home Depot for my daughter's room because where she was, there's a lot of like light that would come in, especially during nap time. It was like less than $10 and it just goes over the top of your shades and you can push it up if you need to, but it blacks out the room completely. I'm even talking, they found that a night light or like even the light from a digital clock in your room will disrupt your melatonin production, again, your sleep quality. So pitch black. If you need light in your room to go to the bathroom or to, like get up and do something in the middle of the night, if that ever happens, you want to make sure that you have some what they're called amber lights in your throughout your house. I'll post a link on those right now, actually, where we get them from. What they are is they'll block off the blue light. And so the blue light is the light that'll come out of the lights in your room, the lights from your computer, your iPad, or your phone, whatever you're watching on right now. So too much exposure from that basically signals the brain saying it's like, oh, it's still daylight time. Oh, I should still be awake. Oh, I should still be doing all these things. And therefore, it cannot get into a restful and relaxed environment. So obviously not good for sleep. So I'm going to post that right now, a link. I think they're like $15. We have like 4 or 5 throughout our house, and it's just easy because then if you have to get up in the middle of the night, like let's say to go to the bathroom, you don't have to turn the light on or try to pee in the dark. And, neither one of those situations are going to be good. But if you do need to do that, your body will not get disrupted by turning a regular light on. Okay. So amber light bulbs, huge. Don't exercise 2 hours before bed. That'll kind of ramp your body up too much and not give it enough time to kind of calm down and relax. I know a lot of people hate exercising in the morning, so they'll wait to do it after work. But be careful if you're exercising at 8 o'clock and trying to go to bed at 9 or 9:30. It's just going to be, quite difficult to do that. Nutrition-wise, you're going to be wanting to fill up and have the largest fat meal of your day be at dinner time. You should be having fat throughout the entire day, but making sure you're having lots and lots and lots of fat at dinner time is going to help your body produce what's called ketones. And the more ketones that are in your blood and in your body loves ketones for burning for energy. And so therefore, it's going to help your body be more efficient to burn fat. Okay? So have a whole avocado, have a ton of butter, coconut oil, and, grass-fed beef, grass-fed steaks, things like that, all good fats. And have that as your, a very prominent part of your dinner time, okay? Another hack that you can do is going to be a teaspoon of raw organic honey, literally right before you go to bed. That's going to increase your blood sugar just a little bit, enough, again, to keep your body and help it get into a deep sleep faster. Now, if you are looking to lose weight or you know that you have a blood sugar issue like insulin insensitivity or glucose intolerance or diabetes or pre-diabetes or metabolic syndrome, I would caution against using that because it's going to diminish your body's ability to burn fat or reset your insulin. But it can work. Or if you're really, obviously I'd rather a person do the raw honey, teaspoon of raw honey and a little bit of fat than take an Ambien or take a medication, of course, because sleep medications are one of the worst drugs you could possibly take. And this is all of them. They found that if you take even just 18 sleeping pills in a year, so that's like one every 6 weeks or so, your chance of dying was like 300 or 400% higher. Basically, they found that taking sleeping pills was as dangerous to your health and damaging as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So horrible, horrible, horrible stuff, and increases cancer risks. So you've got to stay off that, okay? So raw honey with a little bit of fat, like coconut oil or so, but not if you're trying to lose weight or reset your insulin. Proper magnesium supplementation is going to be huge for that. So you can really get up to 800 milligrams or so of magnesium in a day So I would, if you think you're deficient, which if you think you're deficient, you're probably most likely deficient. In fact, 50% of Americans are deficient. So this is the one I take. It's Pro Magnesium. It's a liquid. It tastes great. It's not too chalky. 1 teaspoon of this is about 250, 225 milligrams of vitamin C of magnesium citrate, or not vitamin C, magnesium citrate. So what you'll do is you'll start with 1 teaspoon or about 250 milligrams or so. Do that for a couple days and then gradually increase your dose. Your body will tell you if you have too much magnesium by causing a flush or basically like a soft stool or a little bit of diarrhea. So that's how you know if you have enough in your body. But I mean, I've done a huge gulp of this stuff, which is like probably 5 or 6 teaspoons easy, and never had any issues, meaning I'm probably deficient or not where I need to be. So load up on magnesium. It's important for many chemical reactions in your body too. So that should be, I think, a regular supplement for anybody that lives in America. Vitamin D is another one. So there are, in the area of your brain that is responsible for sleep, those neurons and those brain cells specifically have receptors for vitamin D. So meaning that if you have low levels of vitamin D in your bloodstream, which probably all of you do, if you don't know for sure, just assume you're low, then those areas of your brain cannot function properly. So therefore, vitamin D, as your vitamin D production is lower, then that part of your brain function associated with sleep is lower as well. So as a general rule, you should be doing about 1,000 IUs of vitamin D per 25 pounds of body weight. So I weigh 150 pounds, a little bit less than that, but so I basically am doing about 6,000 IUs of vitamin C per day as a minimum, and that's really for maintenance, okay? A maintenance dose to not go down and really not to go up and to stay about the same. So if you weigh 200, you'd be doing 8,000, 100, right? 4,000, your kids, if they're 25, 50 pounds, you'd be doing 1 to 2,000 IUs of that. So remember with vitamin D, quality is key. Should be coming from a whole food source. You should be taking it in the morning and with fat because it's fat soluble. So do not take vitamin D in the afternoon or dinner time. Unless you're sick or something and trying to blast your body, but just as a general time, when you do it, at nighttime, it's going to screw up your body again and think that it's daylight out, so don't do that, okay? Another thing that I like to use for tracking my sleep is going to be, there's an app called the Sleep Cycle app, and it's a free app, or maybe it costs $1 or something like that, and it looks like this right here, okay? So you can download it on iOS or smartphones, but basically what it does is it'll track your sleep in the middle of the night, and it'll help monitor how deep of sleep you're getting. Like a lot of Fitbits do it too. But then what you can do is you can set it up to wake your body up during a window of when you're going to be most refreshed. So you can set like a 30-minute window. So let's say you need to be absolutely up by 6:45. It'll wake you up somewhere between 6:15 and 6:45 based on when you're like kind of closer to being awake, which is really helpful because then you wake up feeling refreshed. When you wake up in a period where your sleep cycle is going down, that's when you feel really groggy when you wake up and really low with that. So, obviously not helpful for that. So the Sleep Cycle app is great. Another one, of course, in the question as a chiropractor I get several times a day and definitely half a dozen times or so per week is going to be mattress, pillow, what kind of support for that. So I found over the years that for most people, a bad mattress will not cause a bad spine, but it of course doesn't help. But a good mattress can help your spine, if that makes sense. So a lot of times people will blame their spine on their bed, and that's not really accurate because as you're sleeping, there's really no gravity or stress on your spine. So even if it sinks in or is not good, I mean, don't get me wrong, shouldn't be sleeping on something like that, but it's not going to be the cause of degeneration or misalignments in your spine. Let me put it that way. So, if your mattress is more than 7 to 10 years old, it's definitely broken down too much and worn out, so it's time to get a new one. The one that I recommend is from a company called BioPosture. It's out of New York, and it's actually designed by all the people that designed it were engineers with input from the chiropractic profession. So it's really designed to support the natural curves and alignment of the spine. I've slept on it for 3 years and I love it. Another thing about, because it's kind of like a memory foam type mattress, and one thing that a lot of people hate about memory foams is that they're so hot, like it just, your body heat doesn't go anywhere, so you just turn into a furnace at nighttime. So especially for, menopausal and postmenopausal women, even peri and premenopausal women, it just hot flashes and just sweating like crazy. So the BioPosture mattress, though, the way it's got something called the Celliant technology, so it actually absorbs your body heat and disperses it, which is pretty sweet when you're talking about wanting to sleep well and having a low temperature in your room. It makes it a lot easier. The other thing what's great about the BioPosture mattress is that it's non-toxic, so we can get it made without the formaldehyde and flame retardants, which are super toxic, and if you're sleeping on that, you're breathing it in. Most mattresses, in fact, any mattress you buy just in a regular store is going to be manufactured with a flame retardant. And they found that those flame retardants will literally off-gas chemicals for anywhere from 5 to 7 years, which means, if you're sleeping 8 hours a night and breathing in chemicals 8 hours a night, not good, okay? I mean, it's just toxic. Remember, formaldehyde is what they use to preserve dead things, or make you dead faster. Another thing that I also like about the BioPosture in terms of my patients is that we can actually set it up to bill it as a medical device for you. So a lot of times people can get some insurance reimbursement or maybe not necessarily full coverage, but they can get some coverage for that. So that's the only mattress that I recommend personally. A, because I use it and I sleep on it, but B, it's also designed by chiropractors and it's non-toxic. Are there other ones out there? Sure, but that's just the one that I recommend. I'll also post a link to that as well. And the great thing is I actually saw is that they are 40% off right now, which is good. So they're going to be way cheaper than anything else that you would find in the store. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, you can message me or email me. And if you want help with like the insurance, aspect of that too, it's simply I write a letter for you. And give them the diagnosis code and everything that you have, and we'll see what happens. Pretty cool. Okay, so BioPosture bed. So that's sleep. If there are any questions for that, you can type them in now. I won't answer it till the end there, but or you can just ask it when we get to the Q&A section here in just a little while. So sleep. You don't sleep when you're dead. You sleep or you'll be dead way too fast. All right. So next thing I want to talk about is stress. And, stress is kind of one of those fun topics, or sort of sometimes esoteric topics, because it's like, how do you reduce stress in 21st century America? It's kind of impossible, or eliminate it is definitely impossible. Reducing is kind of what your focus needs to be. So I really like to shift the focus on less about how to eliminate stress in your life and more about how to improve and build peace and stability. So it's kind of like when we talk about nutrition, it's a lot easier to add good things in than it is to take the bad things out. And by adding in the good things first, it's of course a lot easier to don't have enough room for the bad things too. So it's kind of like that with stress. Now your body is designed to handle stress, specifically in the short term. So, if you think back to thousands of years ago, if you were out and about with your family and a wild animal came upon you, your body's immediately going to go into a stress response. Your heart rate's going to increase, your blood pressure is going to increase, your muscle tone is going to be ready to fire because you got to escape. Luckily, in 21st century now, wild animals don't chase after us all that often, but things that are stressors are going to be things like money, bills, jobs, running one kid from one area to the next, marriages, relationships, bosses, and your favorite sports team not winning, whatever it is. Like there's so many, sitting in rush hour, sitting in traffic, having alarms going off, having your cell phone ring and you rush to see who it is without even, it's controlling your life, right? Watching news, which like I can't remember the last time I turned the news on and there was something like extremely positive with it, or it being overwhelmingly positive. Politics, all these things, right? The economy, those are stress. And so it is 24/7 for most of us, and all that just continually just beats down your body like crazy. So it loses its ability to handle stress, so it begins to cause what's called catabolism, which means breakdown. And next thing you know, you're destroyed, your adrenal glands are fried, you're gaining weight very easily, you're craving sugar all the time, you can't sleep, you get set off at the easiest of things, all again being stressed out and having the stress response from that. So part of it is that I've just kind of learned to look at stress is that you got to find the blessing in everything, and I know this may seem a little like kind of airy-fairy, but it's like, if you're sitting in rush hour traffic, going to your job, I mean, you can be stressed out about that, or you can be thankful that you have a job. You can be thankful that you have a car, because there's about 8 to 9% of Americans right now that don't have a job, and a lot of them that don't have a car. So you have that, and you're in a stressful environment, but you're better off than the guy that doesn't have a car, doesn't have a job, right? Or again, you could be looking at, okay, well, yeah, I'm in rush hour traffic heading to RTP for an hour every morning. Why don't you listen to an audio book that is going to enhance your life and your health, or listen to a sermon or something that's going to build peace, rather than just listening to the dumb news or something that's going to just create more stress in your life, right? Or so again, looking at the scenario, you almost have to step back and ask yourself, if I was talking to my friend right now who was telling me about all their problems that are causing them to be stressed out, take a step back and be like, well, what would you tell that person, your friend, if they had those things going on? And then there's probably your answer on what you should be doing too. So you should be removing what you can and really mitigating and managing what you can't. So one of the best ways to lower stress is to learn how to say no. N-O. It's a very hard word in the human language. It's not used very often, especially for moms. But saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do for your sanity and your stress levels. Sometimes it's hard to avoid people and certain situations that cause stress, like if they're in your family, but you certainly know that if it's coming. So if you know, Thanksgiving, Cousin Joe or Uncle Sue or Aunt Sue is going to be all up about a certain politician or whatever, and it's just going to create stress in the house. When that conversation comes, maybe you can go do the dishes and just get away from it or whatever. So you know what I mean? So again, but if you do have someone who is not a family member, that every single time you talk to them on the phone, it's causing and destroying your life too, and they're bringing you down, cut it out, okay? I can't tell you how often I will go through my phone and just delete contacts that don't need to be in there. And it may seem like you might think that you're going to be a jerk in doing that for people, but you're definitely not helping a person if you're just, allowing to commiserate with them with their stress. Doesn't mean you aren't there for a friend when they have a shoulder that they need to cry on, but it's different when it's just a person that's continually bombarding and dumping their stressful life on you. So another thing I highly recommend is turn off the dang news. The world is, if the world ends, you won't even know about it come tomorrow morning anyways. You'll just be dead too. So just trust that it's going to keep on turning whether you watch the news or not. I mean, if you're addicted to the news, then just read the news on, a website and just get the summary in a minute versus 2 hours every single night. It's just, get off the dang news. It's not helping you one bit. Avoiding pointless arguments, we kind of went over that. And another thing too that really helps with stress is actually managing your time. Most of stressful areas of your life probably come from a lack of good time management. So I would start there and make sure that you're managing your time well, and then look about how your stress is going to. Another great thing for stress is getting chiropractic care. One study found that was run by 8 PhDs and 1 chiropractor, that literally one adjustment to your neck actually through EEG scans altered the brain, and it caused more harmonious patterns within your brain waves. So a lot of you that are chiropractic patients, you know what I'm talking about. When you get adjusted, just you kind of can relax, your body sort of melts a little bit, or your brain kind of decompresses a little bit. That's why. So they actually know that that's what happens with it. So another study that was done in 2007 found that for even just getting adjusted one time in your neck as well, caused your brain to be more neuroplastic, which means that it was more easily changeable and moldable. So meaning instead of having a rigid brain and not able to adjust to change or stress, being neuroplastic, it allowed to accommodate the stress response, which is pretty cool. And another thing that when they did a study, this was back in 2009, they surveyed 70,000 people that received regular wellness chiropractic care. So that was defined as 2 times per month or more. So meaning they were not going necessarily for a chronic like pain issue or a severe symptom. They were just going to be well. They found that those people compared to people that went to medical doctors for their primary care, they had 60% less hospital visits in a yearly basis, 59% less sick days, 62% less surgeries, and they took 82% less drugs. So for me, I can't think of anything more stressful than being in a doctor's office or being in a hospital or having to rely on a medication every single day. So getting healthy, being well, getting adjusted also helps with the stress response too. So that stress, there's not really like all that kind of amazing, strategies for that, but you can support your adrenal glands. So one of the easiest ways to do that is going to be to increase your sea salt intake. So I recommend after dinner time starting with 1 teaspoon of Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt or just, real salt basically. That's going to nourish your adrenal glands and help your body with its stress response. In more severe cases of like adrenal blowout and fatigue, which is really the best way is to test with saliva, but there's other ways to do it too. But really that's the best. If you're in what's called adrenal fatigue, the best one I recommend is that you're going to be adrenal energy for this. Adrenal energy is for people that are what we call wired and tired, which means they're kind of high strung, but you're exhausted at the same time. That's adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion. I sent an email out about that last week, so a lot of you kind of know more about that. The way you can test for adrenal fatigue, which is pretty simple. Now, it's not foolproof and it's not going to necessarily measure your severity. It's just going to kind of show you if you have it or not, is to go into a dark room. Probably your bathroom is going to be the easiest where you have a mirror, and you're going to want it to be as dark as possible and allow your eyes to adjust for 60 seconds. So when that happens, your pupil, of course, is going to dilate to open up to allow more light in. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a flashlight. So you could like use your cell phone, right, or just a regular flashlight. And in the mirror, looking in the mirror, you would be shining a light. And so if you notice how my pupil actually shrinks, okay, in the light, see how it shrinks with that? If you have adrenal fatigue, your pupil will not just shrink and stay shrunken, but it'll actually kind of pulsate, and you'll see it kind of dilate, contract, dilate, constrict, and kind of go back and forth. Again, you have to hold the light up to it there, and you'll watch your pupil response. You'll be kind of surprised at how much it'll fluctuate. So any fluctuation whatsoever is an adrenal problem. So if you have that issue, you can let me know and I can help you more specifically with that. Now, if you just lay in bed and have a hard time falling asleep because your mind is racing and you're stressed out, the best one for that is going to be adrenal calm. So that's just going to cool you off, cool down the stress response in your body. And I find that people that do this are able to fall asleep faster. Now, if you have an issue staying asleep, and also along with that a little bit of depression and anxiety, the one I recommend for that is going to be sleep and mood formula. So these three were all really for different reasons. So again, sleep and mood is for if you have a little bit of depression or anxiety and you have a hard time staying asleep. Adrenal calm is going to be if you have a hard time falling asleep. And then adrenal energy is if you're in the wired and tired state, means you're kind of like high strung all the time, but you're tired all the time. And people that have that need this typically wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. consistently, because again, that's a sign of adrenal burnout and your cortisol levels are bouncing all over the place. And then another one that's also very helpful for sleep is going to be, and the stress response is going to be magnesium. Okay? We're doing good? Can I get like a, yeah, we're doing good typing or something so I know people are still listening? Allow me to catch my breath for a second here too. Anybody on there? Got a like? Okay, that's good enough. Okay, next topic is going to be ADHD. So when it comes to ADHD, of course, one of the big issues that I have with that is that this diagnosis is such a load of baloney. God did not give American kids bad brains or dysfunctional brains. And so when I hear the diagnosis ADHD, I just want to puke in my mouth and want to punch doctors in the face. It doesn't mean that kids are going to have an issue, concentrating and focus, but it's not coming because they have a hardware problem or there's a problem in their brain. So I call it more of a software problem. So the big thing you're going to be removing is things called excitotoxins and things that cause the brain to go into hyperdrive. Because when it goes into hyperdrive, it's going to have problems with focusing and concentration. So artificial, food colorings, preservatives, artificial sweeteners. So things like Gatorade and Powerade and those sports drinks have a ton of that junk in there. So that is one of the worst things you can give. Grains are going to cause an excitotoxic reaction in the brain, so focus issues. So you think about a kid eating cereal for breakfast, they are just screwed as far as being able to concentrate efficiently. Sugar, of course, does it. So you really have to remove all those things out of there with a kid with focus problems, okay? I mean, kids in general, but focus problems for sure. So another thing that you're going to be doing to increase and help these kids out, any kid, but definitely a kid with ADHD or ADD problems, lots and lots and lots of fat, specifically butter and coconut oil we found kids do really, really, really well on. So getting a tablespoon or two really of healthy fat like coconut oil or butter in their body on top of a diet every single day is very important. So that really helps with concentration because it kind of insulates the neurons and allows the signals to be, going back and forth very well. Another huge thing is chiropractic care for these kids. Every single kid I've ever seen that has ADHD, they have issues in their upper neck. That's the area for focus control. So if that's disrupted, their brains just, have a hard time. Again, there's nothing wrong with the brain, but there's a problem between the connection and communication between what the brain is seeing and what it's and interpreting and how it's actually utilizing all that information. So chiropractic care, amazing for kids with ADD and ADHD. Also, less tablet, smartphone, TV time. There causes a certain level of imbalance and dominance that happens on the different sides of the brain. I don't understand it fully, but I just know it causes brain imbalance to occur. So getting them off of these things as much as possible and ideally keeping away from them 100% is very important. Another thing that I use supplementation wise for kids that I find this really helps, especially when it comes to getting off Ritalin, Adderall, and other drugs like that, is a supplement called Neuralink. So in the Neuralink, it's got a bunch of just neurotransmitter supporters, some good B vitamins that have been known to help with concentration. So Neuralink is a really good supplement for just concentration in general. And that goes for adults too. But really I utilize it so that these kids do not have to be on Ritalin, because Ritalin, Adderall, and all these drugs, they found they dramatically increase the risk for a child for heart disease and heart attacks. So if you have a child or know a child on Ritalin, you got to get them to a chiropractor. You got to get them on a change in nutrition, because they found that I don't remember the specifics. I'm going to actually check it right now because I remember it being super high for Adderall. Adderall increases risk for heart attacks by, looks like 60%, okay, in kids. So there's no long-term studies showing what happens to kids that take Adderall for years and years and years and years and years, other than it's just not good. So help these kids out, get them to a chiropractor. If they're in Raleigh, you can get them to me. If they're in Cary, you can get them to my friend. If they're in other parts of the state or the country, message me and I will help them find a good chiropractor that does what I do in their area. Okay, so Neuralink for that. We'll take 10 to 15 minutes for questions. Fire away. questions on sleep, stress, ADHD, or anything else. You gotta type it in there so I can see it. Or we can call it a night. Oh, somebody just asked a question. Ask me how my day was or something like that. Come on, let me know that you guys are watching. Not a big fan of vitamin E supplementation. There's not really that many good natural sources for vitamin E. Rarely is it actually clinically needed, vitamin E. Also, if you don't have a question, if you have a topic you want me to talk on next, you can post that in the comments. And this talk tonight came from the last time I did it and people requesting certain things. So I am all game for talking about what you want me to talk about. So post questions on, or what you want me to talk about. Sounds good, Miss or Mrs. Beck. Sarah, I look forward to meeting you tomorrow too. Yeah, so sleep, is, oops, sorry about that. Yeah, sleep is going to be a huge thing to tackle. I mean, I would put that at the top of the priority list for you if you're having trouble with that, because if you missed the beginning of the video that I was going over all the damaging things that it does, make sure that you tackle that. So go back and watch all of that and you'll realize, yeah, Renee and many others, how just important you want to do it and get that under control. The next dinner that we're doing in the area here is going to be Tuesday night, the 17th. So I'm going to be doing a nutrition and weight loss talk along with healthy living through chiropractic there at Farm to Fork Meat, 7 o'clock, February 17th at 7 o'clock. So make sure if you want to come to that or bring a guest to that you let Julie in my office know, or email me and we'll make sure we get you all the right info for that. Vitamin D, not sure what specific questions are with that, but yeah, vitamin D taken in the morning, 1,000 IUs per 25 pounds of body weight that you are. Getting it tested every 6 months is very key. It's very cheap to do that. So again, if you do not know what your vitamin D is right now, that is a thing that I would put at the very top of the list to figure out what that number is in the next month, because there's no way to properly know how much you should be supplementing unless you know exactly what your number is. And because vitamin D is linked to everything, you got to figure out that and get that number up to 60 or 70 ASAP. Lonnie Berry in the house. We miss you and we're wondering when you're moving back to Raleigh. Topics for next talk. I need some suggestions. I can do a little bit of toxicity. I could do what lab tests or blood tests should be done that you should really need to know for preventing disease and being in optimal health. I could do what else can I do? I know lots of things, but I could do lots of things. Okay, last thing then before I wrap this up. If you're a patient, listen up. May 14th, which is a Saturday, it's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday, is going to be a makeup adjustment day. We never open on Saturdays anymore, but you're all going to want to come out to that. Okay, thyroid. Yeah, I can do some thyroid stuff. That's good. I'll get thyroid. Sorry. I will definitely do some thyroid stuff. But May 14th is going to be a makeup adjustment day, aka be kind to your spine. So from 9 to 11, we're gonna be adjusting. I'm also going to be having there's going to be a workout every 20 minutes. So no matter when you come in for your adjustment that morning, you're going to have a chance to either hop into a workout or stay for a workout too. So it's just going to be something quick and fun, but it'll get your metabolism going and your heart rate up, burn some fat. Also, if you just show up, anybody who shows up is going to get entered in to win a $100 gift card to Raleigh Raw, which is a local organic raw juice company. So we're going to have food, we're going to have organic coffee and tea. Maybe we'll mix up some bulletproof coffee, which I think that sounds good. We should actually do that. We'll be mixing up bulletproof coffee shots that morning. We'll also have vitamin and supplement sales too. So it's just going to be a good time. I mean, this does not mean that you skip your adjustment during the week and then just wait and save and come on Saturday. This means that you come for your adjustment and you come Saturday, because I guarantee you everybody that's watching this is at least one adjustment behind. And if you don't think that you are, if you haven't been adjusted since birth or day one, then you are definitely behind on an adjustment too. So Tyler Berry, what's up? Good to hear from you. And I'm signing off. So if you're just coming on here at the end, in a minute here, you'll actually be able to go back and watch it from the very beginning. I went for about 46 minutes. So it's all good. Again, I talked about sleep stress, ADHD, and next time I'll talk about toxicity and thyroid, because they're actually related pretty heavily too. So peace out, everybody. And if you're a patient, see you soon. If you're not a patient, hopefully one day I'll get to meet you. Or if there's any way that I can help you, I will post my email address in the comments, and you can feel free to email me at any time. God bless everybody. Peace out.